Look at the S&P today, down. More importantly, look where we bounced. Went all the way right to that line we drew yesterday, right to the expected move. Bounced a little bit. I'm a little curious to see what happens this week. The one thing we didn't do was the calendar of this week. So tomorrow we have nothing, just oil reports, some feds yapping. We have PMI Wednesday. Okay, new home sales, not really likely. Jobless claims Thursday, durable goods, more feds yapping. All right, so PMI will likely be the durable goods. Maybe your fireworks will be Wednesday and Thursday. Probably the most would be. We're kind of breaking away from the PMI, the CPI, and inflation. Maybe we'll just lead it on with Powell and the Feds. Trump versus the Feds. It'll be interesting to see if we get a turnaround Tuesday. For now, I'm optimistic, I guess. I don't know. I ended up buying here. I did take an L today. I didn't want to trade the futures, so actually, as soon as we got to this yellow zone, I did buy some same-day expiration SPY calls. They just expired worthless. So nothing to talk about there. As far as the NASDAQ goes, I don't really have an opinion until I kind of thought we'd hit this yellow zone right here. I don't have an opinion until we break above or below and actually meaningfully break above or below these two brighter yellow zones. Same thing, dropped right to the expected move and bounced. Let me turn that indicator off. Again, it's an indicator that's in my group. It's not one you can find. Shout out to his name's -0. He coded that, put it in there. So for making that available for us, saves me a lot of time. I feel like I have to thank him every video, so I'm not manually doing it. Grandpa Dow, down day. And guys, if the zone is ever not filled in, it just means yellow. There will never be a time where there's a weekly zone, which is purple or pink, or a speed bump zone, which is blue. There will never be a time that those are not colored in. So if it's nothing or yellow, 4-hour daily time frame. Ran right to that type 1 and bounced. Russell didn't really do anything. All right, so as far as I saw some situations, some options flow. There was, interesting enough, an amount into Tesla. Quite a bit amount at the 260 strike, which I thought was odd, but it's right there at that zone. So I went ahead. I didn't alert anybody because this is an earnings play. It's a gamble play. Instead of just going a naked 260 call like a lot of the flow was, I ended up buying a 255, 257 call spread that cost $45. And then I even added on a couple more at 40. And really, all that amounts to is each one of those that I bought, if Tesla does have that surprise earnings and it does go up and we hit that zone, earnings or not, we get up there, then I make $250 for every one, as long as we're at 257 or higher. So if we just get right to there, 100%, whether it goes to 500 or whether it goes to just that, that's a gamble play. So it's going to go to 0 or I make money. There's no in between. There's no like, I'm going to stop out or salvage it. There's none of that. That being said, I did see 700 million as far as someone bought SPY shares in a single order. And so this got brought up, and it is SPY. It's the most liquid one out there. This is the market, and honestly, the time to be buying when SPY is down 20%, or you give or take, give it some wiggle room. It's not a bad time to be buying SPY. I mean, everyone really is afraid of everything until it turns around. This was the Rona spike. Now, everyone thought that thing was just going to 0. And who cares if you bought it at 20% down? If you bought the S&P down here 20% down, would have put you right there. 269. It dropped as low as 220. Another $40 off. That was a crazy one. Would you just have to sit out for a month or two? You watch your P&L go down back to break even to up a lot. And if you take that back over its history, that's happened time and time again. So not a bad time to be, if you want to call it dollar cost averaging. 700 million, just shy of $1 billion. So I doubt it's a new firm. But I mean, you could be dollar cost averaging. You could have sold at the top, got back in. There's a lot of reasons why someone might be buying the S&P at that mark. Maybe they bought that and then happened to buy some puts with it. You got to be careful when you're watching flow because you're just not there. You don't know the reasoning or why. But anyway, I wanted to just quickly bring that up and kind of talk about it. As far as what I think for the week, I wish I could say I was excited. I need to see tomorrow. Turn around Tuesday, we hold above that zone. I think we chop and we stay inside. If we actually stay below here, I do think we're dropping down. I think the continuation, I think we just continue. And as far as the crash goes, I think the people that bought this dip just didn't get the memo that things are going to get a lot worse. And maybe that momentarily held it up, and then we just continue the grind down, which is what I have been saying and why I bought those puts last week. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen,